Welcome, everybody, back to another episode of the Nimrod Pod. I am your embattled host, Lou Stump, alongside my brother-in-arms, Chet Lifkett, and our faithful producer, Joey Donati, manning the helm from the Nimrod Central Command Center. We have a fast-paced news blitz lined up for you today. But before we get started, make sure you're following at the Nimrod Pod on X, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, and at Nimrod Pod on YouTube and Instagram. Like and share this episode to start the chain reaction, and leave a comment letting us know what you think of the show. Now, let's dive into the news. I want to start off with the topic that's on everyone's minds, the Iran war. My first question I'm going to pose for the audience is, why did we really attack Iran? And to answer this question, I'm going to share a couple clips.
The second question that's been asked is, why now? Well, there's two reasons why now. The first is it was abundantly clear that if Iran came under attack by anyone, the United States or Israel or anyone, they were going to respond against the United States. The orders had been delegated down to the field commanders. It was automatic, and in fact, it bared to be true because, in fact, within an hour of the initial attack on the leadership compound, the missile forces in the south and in the north, for that matter, had already been activated to launch. In fact, those had already been pre-positioned. The third is the assessment that was made that if we stood and waited for that attack to come first before we hit them, we would suffer much higher casualties. And so the president made the very wise decision. We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces. And we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties and perhaps even higher those killed. And then we would all be here answering questions about why we knew that and didn't act. Going back.
So that is Marco Rubio, our Secretary of State, saying that the U.S. attacked Iran because the U.S. would have been attacked if Israel attacked Iran first. So essentially, we launched an offensive strike because of Israel, our friends out east. Now, this next clip is from Owen Schroyer.
Israel faced an existential risk, and they were prepared to strike Iran alone. If that happened, Iran was very likely to target our troops. That may address the question of why now? Why not 2 weeks ago? Why not 2 months from now? The president, though, did not want to put our troops in harm's way. Israel faced an existential risk.
You hear that? Israel faced an existential risk, not the United States. So, Chet, Joey, why did we launch these strikes on Iran? Why are we in World War III? What is the real cause? Because we've been told so many different things.
I mean, it sounds like they're telling the truth. It sounds like this is the truth. And it's surprising to me to hear it. Like, isn't that what we thought was going to happen? Isn't it because Israel is going to attack them to force us into the war? It sounds like they're just saying it plain and simple. So, I mean, that sounds like a congruent story to me. They're just not even lying about it.
They're trying to lie. Like, it seems like they're having a schizophrenic panic attack. We're being told that we need to eliminate Iran's nuclear capabilities. We're being told that they told Steve Witkoff that they have 11 nuclear missiles ready to launch. Ready to launch. So why haven't they done it yet? It seems to me like we've had a gentleman named Benjamin Netanyahu coming to Congress since 1982, lecturing our lawmakers, our representatives, about how to treat geopolitical conflicts. He's been begging us to get involved in a conflict with Iran since 1982. And then in 2000, our Vice President, Dick Cheney, co-authors the Project for a New American Century that basically establishes a 7-front war that we're going to fight on behalf of Israel. And we're going to shovel up the cash. We're going to cough it up. We're going to cough up the blood. We're going to send our troops, our young boys there to die on behalf of Israel. So why? What is the reason? Do you know, Chad? I can tell you. The whole reason is because our Congress, our elected officials, are bought and paid for by a foreign country and their lobbies, the pro-Israel lobby, AIPAC, our entire Congress on both sides of the aisle have submitted to Israel like a little puppy dog begging for a treat. What the fuck are we doing? What the fuck are we doing? This isn't what we voted for. We voted for America First. Trump 2016 campaign. He was the guy that was going to drain the swamp. He was going to break the system. And what do we get? We got fucking John Bolton as our Secretary of State, a war hawk, essentially John McCain 2.0. This is just a continuation of the Bush administration. So the first Trump administration was a throwout. Then, obviously the election gets stolen, 2020, and Joe Biden comes in, reverses all the good things that the Trump administration did, and completely ruins our countries and opens our borders and floods it with a bunch of Islamics and other non-Western people that hate America. And then Trump almost gets killed several times, so we all grab the cross off our neck and throw it in the air and say, we stand with you, Trump. You're our guy. All the bad guys want you dead, so we stand behind you, because if they can get through you, they'll get to us. So we have to have your back, Trump. So it's almost like a victory for the people if Trump wins. Trump was our populist beachhead. And towards the end of his 2024 campaign, Trump got to the point where he hated the Democrats so much for what they did to him since he was in office the first time to when he won the 2024 election. He hated the Democrats so much that he had to put on the Ring of Mordor. And he had to say, how do I get rid of the uniparty establishment? How do I get rid of the Obama, Bush, Clinton wing of the uniparty establishment? I'm going to sell out to Israel because they currently have right-wing leadership that's going to allow me to be pro-life. And that's going to allow me to be pro-Second Amendment. And that's going to allow me to kill DEI and ESG. But what for? At what cost? One thing comes to mind, the First Amendment. First Amendment is almost dead. Yeah, we're able to have this conversation, but we're wearing masks, guys. We're wearing fucking masks and stupid glasses because if our employers saw this, we would get shit canned and we'd be on the streets. And little Lou Jr. wouldn't be able to get that nice toy truck he wanted for Christmas. And that's just how the cookie crumbles, guys. I'm going on a tangent here, but I'm trying to make a point. This is not the United States war. This is Israel's war. Israel wants to be the unrivaled power in the region. They're trying to secure the Israeli hegemony in the Middle East. So they need to eliminate Iran because they're the only coherent functioning state. They need to neutralize and remove the Gulf states, the GCC, because they together are a very powerful bloc that essentially are the new site for global diplomacy. They're very successful. They have a ton of money and they invest a lot of money in the United States. And then they want to get the U.S. out of the Middle East. Because if we're not there and the GCC is not there and the Iranians aren't there, nobody's stopping them from fulfilling their alleged prophecy from the Old Testament, in which case they take everything from the Euphrates to the Nile. Is that the phrase from Genesis? Like Euphrates to the Nile? Essentially, it's the entire Middle East. So they're going to take the entire Middle East and they're going to call it Israel. And we're not going to be there to stop it and be diplomatic. The GCC is not going to be there to throw their weight around. And Iran's not going to be there to basically be the only independent, functioning, coherent state to say, no, daddy's home, no. There was supposed to be a yin and yang in the Middle East, and that's been lost. Do you guys agree? Like, is this Israel's war? Because it certainly doesn't seem to be a nuclear issue. It certainly doesn't seem to be payback for what happened 47 plus years ago with Iran.
Absolutely. And they say it themselves. And they've said it for 47 years now. I mean, they've always wanted to go to war with Iran. But, I have plenty of questions about what they want out of this. Obviously, it's easy to say they want to make greater Israel and take over the whole thing and be the sole power in the Middle East. But I mean, this is going to have global ramifications, especially for the United States, even for Russia and all of their quasi-allies. For India, it's going to be a giant rock going to rock the earth. So I need to see an analysis that I agree with on what the game plan is here by Israel. What the game plan is with all the strikes that we've done so far for them, in their war. And, it's terrible to hear that we lost some American lives already in this, totally preventable, at least totally preventable war. So disgusting. And I mean, they took out the leader, they cut off all of the heads of the Hydra, but whenever you cut off one of the heads, then two more take its place. And all of the leaders that died just splintered the Iranian military with 90. It's a country with 92 million people over there. It's ginormous. And they just splintered their military and all their people into factions who are going to act erratically. And so now we're facing real danger. I think that was probably the goal. Once they split them up into factions, they don't have a partner for peace anymore. Does that sound familiar? It should, because that's what they did with Hamas in Palestine. So I think I see what's going on here now, and I'm willing to listen to more.
Certainly, you asked the question, like, why is Israel doing this? Like, what is their end goal? What is their reasoning? It doesn't make sense. It seems so reckless. Well, Marco Rubio said this in a press conference today. That entire regime is led by radical clerics who don't make geopolitical decisions. They make decisions on the basis of theology, which is an apocalyptic one. He's referring to Iran. Meanwhile, Netanyahu said this in Israel this week. We read in this week's Torah portion, remember what Amalek did to you. Now go on and smite Amalek and utterly destroy all that they have and spare them not, but slay both man and woman, infant and suckling, ox and sheep, camel and ass. 1 Samuel 15:3. Israel is a group of religious extremists. They're making theological decisions. This brings us back to this conversation we've had many times. Organized Jewry. What is organized Jewry? Because it's not just the state of Israel. It's not just the people who fund AIPAC and all these major lobbies that control our Congress, control our corporations. It's more than that. Mike, I'm going to throw a question at you, Chad. Is organized Jewry based on religion or race? Is it someone who has Jewish blood or someone who actually practices Judaism?
That's a great question, Lou. And I mean, there's a debate about that. I think it's both. I won't say it's one or the other. And it's mostly about race, because there's not everybody in Israel is Jewish. Not everybody goes to temple every Friday or Saturday. I don't even know what they do, but there's a lot of atheist people, and they're part of it. They're part of that nation. They're in the government. It's a secular government. So I think it's more of the people of Israel, and anybody who supports it are obviously happy about this war. And so their motivation is to proliferate Israel. Maybe it has something to do with the promises in the Old Testament, as would be indicated by Netanyahu's statements this week. So I think this is about more than a religion and more than a race, because it's definitely religious ties, but it's not just religion either.
If they're making radical theological decisions, it has to be on the basis of a religion, of an ideology. Like if we're defining an ethnic Jew, an ethnic Jew is a descendant of Abraham, and if we're making that distinction, that would mean that the Christians in the West Bank and Gaza are more closely related to Abraham than the actual white Ashkenazi Jews that occupy Israel and their government. That would mean that the Ayatollah is more closely related to Abraham as a direct descendant of Muhammad than Netanyahu. So, is it on the basis of race? maybe in a way for the religious Jews that are racially Jewish in one way or another. But this is an ideology. This is a sick ideology. And you could even say that they're terrible Jews. And it's not the Old Testament Judaism that we know. This is something completely different. This is the synagogue of Satan, and people choose to be a part of this disgusting religion. And when it comes to like practicing Jews versus Jews that are not involved in organized Jewry, like think of all the people you knew growing up that were Jewish, and think of all the different bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs you went to. How many of them go to temple? How many of them practice and preach their faith? None of them for me. There might be a few that wave a flag, but they don't know what the fuck's going on. Their parents scared them into thinking that they're going to be holocausted if they don't speak up. So they do it. But for the most part, the Jews I know, the ethnic Jews I know, don't practice, and they hate the state of Israel. You may have a different experience, but that's what I've experienced. So I think organized Jewry, in order to be an organized Jewry, to have that organization, you have to be practicing. You have to be involved in the faith or in the sick ideology. Like, they don't have to go to temple to be organized Jewry, but they have to be a part of a cult to be an organized Jewry. And I think that is a sickness. And I think they are religious zealots. I think they are making decisions on the basis of theology. And this actually brings up another question. We're kind of already getting into it. We're talking about organized Jewry. This is Israel's war. This isn't America's war. This is a spiritual battle of good versus evil. Tucker Carlson gave in a phenomenal analysis of this conflict yesterday. And he played a very disturbing clip from a Christian Zionist pastor named John Hagee, who said Israel bombing Iran alongside the United States is part of biblical prophecy, which includes plans for Russia in the near future. I'm going to go ahead and play this clip and let you guys make up your own mind, because it made me sick.
God bless you, Mr. President, for being a friend of Israel. God bless you for having the courage to do what others feared to do. God bless our fighting forces in the Middle East in the brilliant execution God bless our forces in the Middle East in the brilliant execution of Operation Epic Fury. Today we will discover in Bible prophecy that God has an Operation Fury. He has planned for Iran and Russia in the near future. Stay tuned in the television audience. Let's read Psalms 122, 6 through 9. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May they prosper who love you. Peace be within your walls, prosperity within your palaces. For the sake of my brethren and companions, I will now say peace be unto you. Because of the house of the Lord our God, I will seek your good. Can we pray together? Our most gracious Heavenly Father, as we gather in this house today, we pray for the peace of Jerusalem and the many Christians in Iran that will now be free to worship you in spirit and in truth. The Word of God commands us to pray for the peace of Jerusalem, for they shall prosper that love you. We thank you for the fabulous military victory over the enemies of Israel this week. The Bible says, he that keepeth Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. We thank you for our President, Donald Trump, whose wise courage has crushed the enemies of Zion. Today we rejoice in the prophetic scriptures of Ezekiel revealing God's Operation Fury for the enemies of Israel in the near future. King David writes in the Psalms concerning Israel, you shall break them with a rod of iron. You shall dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Amen.
Initial reactions, Chet?
I could see where he's coming from. I can see where he's going with that. I just think it doesn't really apply. It doesn't really apply. They're not after peace in the Middle East. They're not going for peace. Any peace that they have would be after they completely wipe out every single other country over there and just claim their territory. And so, I mean, that's not predestined by the Bible. You can't rectify that with scripture, and trying to is evil. And, you know, they're not after peace because they're causing so much violence. They're pressuring people into violence when diplomacy could very well be the answer. You know, you could bluff even. There's a lot of bluffing that goes on with the United States. There was an entire Cold War with a lot of bluffing. And eventually, through diplomacy, they found peace. So through this violence, they never will. And have they ever had it before? No, because they are always causing trouble over there. So, I mean, it doesn't apply to the scripture that this guy read off.
This sermon's a lot different than my sermon this past Sunday. I mean, the guy has a big graphic behind him that says, God is coming. Operation Epic Fury, with a bunch of bombs and blood. That's not Christianity, guys. That's not Christianity. Christian Zionism and all Christian Zionists are Jewish now. Christian Zionists are Jewish now. The words of the great Harrison Smith. They're all Jews. These alleged evangelicals are Jewish. We as Christians believe that Jesus Christ was the Messiah. So if you're trying to summon some other Messiah now, you're Jewish. And Jesus Christ does not accept you. And you will be judged on Judgment Day. And you will face the wrath of the one holy, true God. Like, this is the definition of being unfaithful to a holy God. We have been infiltrated. This is not Christianity. They are worshiping the state of Israel. The state of Israel has nothing to do with the Israel in the Bible. We've had this fucking conversation so many times. But you still have jackasses like this getting up in front of thousands of people and manipulating them. Like, using the most sensitive parts of their being, such deep emotional ties to their religion, to manipulate them. What is that? That is satanic, evil, dark magic cultism. That's what that is. That is organized Jewry. That isn't Christianity. That is Satanism. We reject that. We reject the synagogue of Satan. You're not welcome here. There's only one way to heaven. There's only one path to salvation, and that's Jesus Christ. There's only one truth, and that's Jesus Christ. There's only one Messiah, and that's Jesus Christ. And you have a fucking problem with that, go back to Israel, and maybe the next Messiah can fucking save you. Fuckface. Fucking jackass. I might start going to that church, though. It looks fun. It looks fun.
Hey, they're all having fun. They're all smiling. They're all clapping. The bombs and the blood on the screen. They seem to love it. They seem to love it. Just thinking about their boys and girls going over there and fighting for the white and blue and the six-pointed star.
Do you think they did like reactions to the war videos? Like, oh, in the face! Tehran down! Tehran down! I mean, what the fuck? This isn't Christianity. We abhor violence. We hate violence. We reject violence. We turn the other cheek. This isn't us. We hate war. We want peace. We don't make decisions. God makes decisions. This is humanity trying to decide when and where people die. Only God decides life. That's the truth. And that's the end of it. Now, this war with Iran on behalf of Israel is going to result in the death of millions and millions of people in the Middle East. And not to say that we haven't already killed millions. Like, if we look at the Iraq and Afghani war, I believe like 7 to 9 million Iranians were murdered. They were killed by the U.S. and our allies. So they already hate us. Like they're an entire generation was killed by us. And now they see us as an existential threat. Like Iran cannot exist without the current regime. They cannot exist because there's no stability after that. There is no group ready to swoop in and save them. Like, it's not happening. So if we just topple the entire what is it? IRGC? Is that what it's called?
IRGC,
Yeah, the
Islamic
IRGC.
Revolutionary Guard Corps.
Yeah, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps is the only thing holding that country together. And without it, we have pure chaos and we have more civil war, and it becomes Vietnam 2.0 on fucking steroids, and we all lose. And we get sent over there, and there's boots on the ground, and that is the end of the American empire. That is the end. It's very simple, guys. So we have all these people that hate us. We also had open borders for 4 years under Joe Biden, where we had hundreds of thousands, millions of military-age men sneak across our border. Oh, no, not sneak across. They were let into our country by an incompetent, evil, satanic regime, and they spread out across our country and created these sleeper cells. And now we have hotbeds all over the country full of people that came from these countries that were war-torn, that are seeking refuge because we killed all of their friends and family. And now they're sitting and waiting. And their priest, their pope was the Ayatollah, and we killed him. And he had issued fatwas. And they want to achieve martyrdom. Like, that is their goal in life. Like, that is the ideal way to go out, martyrdom. I want to show you guys this quick clip. As Texans, we have cause to be concerned because in the past 2 years, Texas has averaged 2 new mosques a month, and the total is now at least 330 mosques. Look at this video of the DFW area. I mean, are you seeing this? They're fucking everywhere. And they're practicing Sharia law, and they're ungoverned by the state of Texas or the United States government. They are basically living on Indian reservations, doing whatever the hell they want, waiting, sitting and waiting. And now we killed their leader. And they got the orders to execute Order 66. And they're going to do it. Like we already saw in Austin, this guy wearing a Property of Allah shirt with a Iran flag under it, IRGC flag under it. He slaughters a bunch of kids at a popular bar on 6th Street in Austin, Texas. And then we have the Texas DA, the district attorney, Jose Garza, the same one that's destroyed Alex Jones' livelihood, then goes after the cops that killed the guy who was massacring innocent civilians in Austin, Texas. So they're going after the APD, these fucking heroes from the Austin Police Department. This isn't going to be the first time, and this is going to be the last time we have a massive, disgusting terrorist attack from these Islamic extremists that are all over our country. If I lived in Dallas-Fort Worth area, I wouldn't go to crowded gatherings. I would not go to the St. Patrick's Day parade in downtown Dallas. But a lot of people will. A lot of people will. It's going to be Dallas. It's going to be Houston. It's going to be Austin. Like, these are the hotbeds. They're sitting and they're waiting. What do you guys think is going to happen next? Even if you don't think that these Muslims are crazy enough to kill us and achieve martyrdom, wouldn't it be in Israel's best interest to stage false flags, to get the public on their side for more conflict, for more war, for more destruction? I mean, hell, we saw that they were lobbing nukes to the GCC countries, who they're supposed to be allied with us, just to provoke a response, just to get them to join in on the destruction against Iran, to cause more instability. Why would they not do that here? This isn't just a war in the Middle East. This is international and domestic. They have fighters here. What do we have to be worried about, Nimrods? What's coming next?
I think that, their usual recipe, whether it's bomb in a truck or driving a truck through a parade, we got St. Patrick's Day coming up here pretty soon. People need to make sure they're very careful at going to these parades. Or, just like this guy in Austin with the mass shooting, the operatives in the United States have guns now. So it's hard to say what's coming, but I I definitely see why they would benefit from something like that happening. If there was a false flag operation that made the another swath of Americans support the actions that we're taking in Iran, then that would be super beneficial to their cause. So definitely stay safe out there, Nimrods. Shit could get a little squirrely.
Indeed, it could. And as we kind of segue onto the next topic, I want to wrap this up by just talking about who are the winners and who are the losers. Obviously, Israel is picking up the bigger end of the stick. We're getting shafted. Europe's getting shafted. The GCC's getting shafted. But ultimately, Israel could also get shafted. Israel could literally get obliterated. They could get so hurt. They could get hit with a hypersonic missile. Like, they're the size of Maryland. Maryland! Tiny little state. And what happens if they get really, really hurt? Well, they have nuclear weapons, and they've threatened to use them many, many times. Why would they not just lob one up if they felt threatened? They could. And then that would just start a chain reaction. Like, we already see the GCC countries partnering with Pakistan and these other developed countries that have nuclear weapons. I mean, and who's to say that some of the GCC countries don't have nuclear weapons? But this will just start a chain reaction, and we will immediately be in nuclear holocaust. That is the reality. So Israel could get hurt, but they're supposed to be the winners from all this. And you know what? They're getting what they want. Like, right now, they're getting what they want. They ultimately might get destroyed, but they're getting what they want now. But GCC is getting destroyed, and it's so much more complex than just getting hit by a couple missiles. Like, we're showing them that we are not reliable allies and that there's no upside to dealing with us, to dealing with the United States. There's no upside in foreign investment. Like, you guys know that they invest hundreds of billions of dollars because they think that we're their only true allies, and then we're not defending them from this onslaught of attacks from both Iran and Israel. Why would they trust us anymore? Like, they're already going to the BRICS nations and trying to start these alliances with nuclear powers so that they have some sort of protection. And if they come together, the GCC countries, as like one big block, like one sort of nation state, they could be a formidable opponent to Israel. And that's another thing they want to watch out for. And that's also why Israel's trying to get us out of there so that we can't protect the GCC. That's why they're going after all these oil rigs. They're going after all the oil infrastructure in the Strait of Hormuz because they want to cut off the piggy bank for the GCC so that they can't become a bloc that actually challenges Israel as an independent power that is totally coherent and formidable in the Middle East. And let's not forget to mention that the GCC countries don't grow their own food. Like, they're completely reliant on imports for both food and water. So if we don't help them and all these trade routes get shut down, these people start to starve and they don't have water. And then they panic. We're already seeing them start to panic. They want us out. And we're going to lose this relationship we once thought we had. This brings up a topic we talked about last week with the great Rex Jones. The potential of the Middle East. Like, we have these monarchies, we have these like rebel republics, we have these alleged democracies. And the democracies, the republics, are extremely unstable. They're run by Islamic extremists and terrorists. But the monarchies are extremely clean, extremely wealthy, and extremely diplomatic. Like, they are the new global site of diplomacy. They broker deals between everyone all across the world. Like, you look at the Ukraine war, you look at all the Middle Eastern conflicts, you looked at Israel and Hamas, like Qatar and UAE and Saudi. They're brokering discussions, trying to establish peace. They are very complex. Like, they have the nicest airlines in the world. Like, this is a very high society. And we rely on them for our economy. Like, they own a lot of our entertainment industry. Like, look at Las Vegas. They own a lot of the big hospitality companies. They own the UFC. They own the WWE. They own a lot of our sports leagues. Like, they own a lot, and they invest a lot, hundreds of billions of dollars of investment that we're now not going to have. So tell me how this war is for the United States. It's not. It's really not. And the last big loser I can think of, if we go back in time, the British lost their influence in the Middle East probably in the Suez Crisis, right? And the UK wasn't able to restore order in the region because they had less power than people thought they did. They tried swinging their dick like we are now, and some of those other countries realized, oh, wait, they're not all powerful. And this is exactly how the British Empire ended. And now what are we doing, the United States? We are meeting the end of the great American empire. We are sleepwalking to our demise, to our societal collapse. And this is something we need to be a lot more worried about. People are trying to tell me this isn't World War III. This isn't World War III. What is it then? Because us launching these strikes in Iran and sending our entire Navy there and our entire Air Force there, what does that do? Well, now it's going to take us 10 years to recoup all the ammunition that we expended, all the artillery that we expended. It's going to take 10 years for the military-industrial complex to build that up. So that means we cannot survive a conflict with a formidable international opponent against a Russia, against a China. You know what that means? That means if China invades Taiwan, I guess they get to have it, and there's nothing we can do about it. That means if Russia decides to expand into NATO and take Ukraine and take all the other neighboring countries, take Poland, they can do that, and there's nothing we can do about it. That means if we get attacked in our own hemisphere by China or Russia, we're not going to be able to defend ourselves as much as we would like to. It's not going to be as easy as you would think, despite the distance from the United States to the Eastern Hemisphere. This is so dangerous, and it in no way benefits the United States. We are facing our demise, and Iran represents the East. They represent BRICS. They have strong ties to China and Russia and Turkey and India and Pakistan. Essentially, this is BRICS versus NATO. And NATO's already crumbling. Europe's already dead. The Middle East is being destroyed. We're losing our best chance at having a partner that can get us out of this multipolar world in Russia. And there really is no end in sight. And this brings me to an extremely disturbing article that came out today. President Trump says U.S. war supplies mean it can fight forever. Donald Trump said the U.S. military has enough stockpiled weapons to fight wars forever, as the Republican president and his administration continued their push to justify a broad, open-ended war on Iran with shifting aims and timeline. We have a virtually unlimited supply of U.S. munitions, and that wars can be fought forever, very successfully, using just these supplies. So what is the Trump administration trying to accomplish? They're trying to prepare us for a forever war, a forever world war. It doesn't just end with Iran. Israel's already talking about going into Turkey. We also have what we thought was going to be the start of World War III with Russia and Ukraine. That's going to escalate. China's going to invade Taiwan. Europe has fallen. These wars are going to last forever, and that's what they're telling us. So Chet, how do we get out of this? Like, we're already in it, but like, what's our best next move?
First of all, I think the article about Trump saying that is him bluffing to other leaders in Iran and Russia and China because of the thing that you mentioned earlier, which I'm not entirely sure if I agree with, that the munitions that we spent on this are going to take 10 years to recoup. I don't think that that's true. I don't think that we could fight our wars forever with our current munition count. What I mean, there's plenty. So I'm concerned, that the path into darkness and the path into global nuclear war and World War III is upon us. It's here for sure. And I think if we keep pursuing these conflicts, I think if we're beholden to the wishes of Israel because we're scared they're going to attack something and we are going to face the backlash. I thought Israel was a proxy state for us. I thought they listened to us. I thought they couldn't exist without us. What happened to that? So we need to figure out that relationship. One, we need to figure out a way to get out of this war and make sure Iran is stable, which how is that going to happen now? And Trump needs to figure out a way to get his base back because it's all gone now. Even Alex Jones is gone. And I mean, that's the situation we're in. And that's why at the beginning of this episode, when we played the clip, they're just telling the truth at this point. They're like, yeah, we got forced into this. Like they forced our hand. So it's like they're apologizing already because they know this is just bullshit. So I think there needs to be a path out of this war, a path to diplomacy, and then we can just go back to working in the right direction. This is complete misstep in my book. So let's hope for the best. And if it turns to the worst, I better not get sent over there to fight for the 6-pointer and the blue and white.
That's a great point. I want to respond to a couple things you said there. You said you think Trump was bluffing when he says we could fight wars forever. Well, obviously he is. Like, we know Trump's psychology. That's how he negotiates. But unfortunately, Israel knows how Trump negotiates. They know his psychology. They have like the best psychologists in the world analyzing Trump at all times. And they're luring Trump into these traps. And they've pulled us in so deep that we cannot get out. We actually couldn't just leave today without hitting Iran so unbelievably hard. And it's really hard to do that without the N-word. Brett, do you know the N-word? Do you like the N-word? We got a lot of N-words here in America. Nuclear bombs. We cannot use nuclear bombs ever again. But we need to hit Iran really hard. And once we hit them, we need to get out. And we need to call on the Iranian people to uprise. But who are they going to rally behind? We killed the 40 spots after Ayatollah on the depth chart. Like, there's no one to replace them. So we need to figure out who's actually calling all the shots. Like, who's calling these strikes on the GCC in Israel? Who's attacking our ships? Are they a part of the regime? Can they be trusted? Are they formidable? Maybe, probably not. But we don't even know who's doing it. We don't know who their leadership is. So we can't just leave today. Like, we have to get all of our assets out of there. We have to get our people there. Like, there's a bunch of kids that were like on spring break in like Abu Dhabi and Dubai, and they're stuck there, like Americans, and we haven't gotten them out. Like, we didn't try to get them out beforehand. Like, we didn't ban travel to the Middle East before launching these attacks. We haven't extracted them. Like, if we're gonna have boots on the ground, like, why are we not sending special forces in there to rescue our own people? Like, why are we allowing, like, why didn't we evacuate our embassies? And now they're all getting bombed to shit, and these people are dying.
I think
Go ahead, Chet.
that can be answered because of like an OPSEC perspective. You know, we're not going to clear out the embassies and ban travel before we launch strikes, or Iran would be ready.
Well,
And I
no,
mean,
we gave them 10. We gave them 10 days. We gave them 10 days to make a deal. They knew it was coming. We weren't hiding it. It just, they didn't know if it was coming in the morning or at night. Like, they knew it was coming. They knew when the deadline was, and we couldn't make a deal, so we went at them. So when you give them that 10-day deadline, you say, Americans, get the fuck out of there. But they didn't.
yeah.
Tell me if I'm
Okay.
wrong.
I mean, I think that's probably good answer. So, what was the thing that they did do? There was a message. What was it? Embassies in Israel. They said clear them out. It was like Saturday night, and I said it's about to go off, and then it did right then and there. So I mean, yeah, there should have been a better message for sure.
Yeah, they told Israel, but they told them like within hours. And they actually couldn't even evacuate everybody before they launched the strike. So you had people trying to get out of there on Saturday. Obviously, this happened in the wee hours of the morning, Saturday morning, or Friday night. And they had people trying to leave Ben Gurion Airport, and these planes are already getting bombed by Iran. So they couldn't get out of there. Guys like Huckabee and his team chose to stay because they're dual citizens and they're Zionists, and they want to be martyrs of their own because they are Jewish. They're not Christian. They are Reformed Jews. That's what they are. And yeah, it's terrible. We should have evacuated the embassies. And I want to respond to something else you said. This 10 years of munitions, the Joint Chief of CENTCOM publicly advised Trump not to go into Iran because we wouldn't be able to fight a multipolar war with formidable international opponents for 10 years because Lockheed and Boeing and Raytheon, the entire military industrial complex, would not be able to fully reload our munitions for 10 years. We could obviously defend ourselves to an extent and, maybe go after Cuba and completely destabilize Cuba, but we can't go defend Taiwan from China, like that tiny little peninsula on the Chinese southern border. Like, that's not happening. And so we know this for a fact, that the head of our joint chief of our military, of all the branches, said, don't do it, Trump. The Pentagon said, don't do it. And they're the war hawks. But Trump gave him permission, so now they're going fucking ham. They're not going to let him ever stop the war. That's why we're going to get forever wars, because he gave them the green light. But they advised him. They ran all the war games, and all the war games and all the analysis said, this is catastrophic for the United States. This sets us back. There's no benefit from a defense standpoint. And that's where we found ourselves. So I wanted to answer those two questions from you. And I think you made a good point. Like, we're not going to go over there and fight. But Trump has said over and over, I'm not rolling out ground troops. And now he's saying we're probably going to have, like, we will require a ground force to successfully regime change Iran. Like he said, it's happening. It's just a matter of when. If it's happening, it takes well over 500,000 soldiers. But I think we have about 500,000 in the Middle East now. He's going to need more. This isn't Iraq. Iran is 3 times the size of Iraq. And we fought Iraq for 9 years, and we occupied them for over 24 years. So what happens with a country 3 times the size with over 94 million people that hate us? And now actually hate us. Maybe they didn't hate us before. Now they hate us. Like, we killed a whole generation. Now they really fucking hate us. Go ahead, Chet.
I don't know. I think there's 2 sides of the Iranian thing. Maybe I'm a victim of propaganda, but I think a lot of people over there are happy that their overlord was taken out. I watched.
Well, what are they going to do? What are they going to do now? Like, they don't have a leader. They don't have leadership. They are completely destabilized. They don't have like an alternative party. Like, this was a dictatorship. Like, this was an authoritative non-secular state, a religious state. Like this was our pope, he's our leader, and there's no one else. And then they exiled all the other options. They exiled the previous government. Like,
I did see that it was a quote from Trump. They're like, who's going to replace the Ayatollah? And then he said, well, we had a list of people, but they're all dead. And then we had another list of people, and they might all be dead too. So, I mean, what is the game plan here? What is the game plan? It's the same thing with Venezuela. How are they going to fix that situation? Causing a lot of trouble, almost bowl in a china shop-esque activities going on. I just want to know, like Tucker said on his pod, how do we know when we won? If this is a war, if this is about nuclear capability in Iran, I thought we already won that. I thought we already handled that. They got obliterated like 3 months ago or however many months ago. And now
9
it's
months.
about regime change. The guy's dead. So we won that. So let's pack our bags and get out of there. Unless there's something else that we need to do. I don't think we're going to kill 92 million people in Iran. What is the goal here? I don't know what we are looking to do.
Amen. And how do we move forward? Like, we're already in it, so we probably have to hit Iran really hard and really get them off balance and get out of there. Like, we need to find the quickest way out of there. We're in way too deep to the point of no return. So this is going to be like a walking away with our tail tucked between our legs situation, worse than Vietnam, likely. Hopefully we don't have to wait that long to actually pull out. Hopefully we can just get out of there in a couple weeks, but that's not what it's looking like. But we need to hit Iran hard, get out of there, end the campaign, pull out now. We need to get Netanyahu under control. And a lot of that's going to fall on us. Like, we need to elect leaders that aren't bought and paid for by foreign interests. Like, we need grassroots, America first, populists that represent the people over the party. And we'll talk about that later. And we got to remove Americans abroad. We need to remove our military personnel, our embassy employees, all these vacationers, spring breakers. Oh, what about the people that work in the oil industry? Like, do you know how many Americans work in the oil industry or in Saudi Arabia? And we moved our THAAD battery, which is this like anti-missile defense, from Saudi to Israel. So now they're all getting fucked, all these American energy employees. That's not how we prioritize our people. Our people are put first over everyone else. So remove everyone in the Middle East that is an American, and then can everybody in the American government that prioritizes Israel over America. Eliminate dual citizenship. We need to brace for impact, get the hell out of there, and prepare for retaliation on our home court, in our own soil, domestically.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One more argument that I hear often about Israel is that they're a partner of ours in the Middle East, which is so violent and volatile, but still yet so important to our global trade networks. And the oil industry is a massive example of that. So when we talk about all those Strait of Hormuz and all those little passageways over there, where we're moving so many millions of tons of crude oil every day, we do need partners in safety. And I don't think Israel is that anymore. I don't think Israel is that partner anymore, if they ever were. I think we have a lot of friends in the GCC that we need to keep, and this is jeopardizing that. I think diplomacy could have saved this situation with Iran. I don't think they had weapons of mass destruction like people were saying. We can still fix this. And let's say that government that was in power in Iran, let's say they were violent. Let's say they were off the chain and we needed to kill them. They're dead. Now what's our path forward, Donald Trump? How are you going to fix the situation? Because right now it seems like we just made it worse. You know, what is the game plan? If our hand got forced, why did it get forced? I thought Israel was our proxy state. I thought they were our partner. Why would they do something that we don't want? So lots of questions out there that need to be answered by this administration. And there's still a few more years for them to do it. But what I heard from Fuentes about and Alex Jones about how this Republican Party is run by and for Israel, and we need to vote Democrats in, I disagree. I disagree with that. I want to hear some opinions on that.
Yeah, certainly. And I want to hit on the oil first before I get to that, and then we can play a couple of these short clips from the Fuentes Jones interview. Oil is paramount to the global economy because we essentially have a petrodollar. Like the US dollar is, in a way, backed by oil, not gold. So if the oil industry is in shambles, it has massive ramifications on the global economy. What happens when the global economy is in shambles? The price of precious metals goes up. Let's look at the price of silver right now. Gold's great too. Gold's a long-term investment. Silver, this is a unique time to buy silver. It's currently $85.80. I believe we started the year almost at $130, and then there was a massive market manipulation. It went down to 75-ish. I went in, I bought $10,000 worth of silver, of actual silver, and I'm storing it at a place, and I have insurance on it, and I can go grab my silver anytime I want it. This isn't an ETF. This isn't a stock. This is real silver that nobody can take from me. I bought it at $77. That was the spot price, and I bought it at wholesale. By the end of the year, it's supposed to be $200. 70 something to 200. If the Strait of Hormuz gets closed, the price today, $86.01, will double within the first month of it being closed. That means $86 to over $170, $172. You'd be retarded. You'd be slobbering down your shirt, eating a bucket of paint chips with probably 2 fucking teeth in your head like a goddamn hillbilly if you didn't buy silver right fucking now. If you're going to go meeting with your fucking wealth manager and diversify your portfolio, buy some Korean ETFs, you're fucking stupid. Buy silver. The world is collapsing. The sky is falling. The global landscape will be forever changed. What can you trust? Precious metals, silver. Why silver, not gold? Gold's great. But if you're investing in gold, you got to hold on to it. Gold's already really high, over $5,000 spot price. Silver, it's at $86, and it's unique because we need it. Elon Musk tweeted this week that silver is going to go up and it's going to keep going up because we need it. It is the most important commodity because it is necessary for electronics. You cannot build any of these electronics without silver, including the semiconductors. So if there's no silver, price goes up. Mexico's number one producer. The cartels are fighting the government. And then our intelligence agencies are helping the government. So there's instability there. And China's running low on supply. They need the ore from Mexico. They need to get somewhere else. Guess who just bought $10,000 worth a month ago? They will buy whatever price you ask. Buy silver. Get out of the stock market. The US dollar is failing. First clip, Nick Fuentes and Alex Jones share an emotional moment together as they both fought so hard for Donald Trump just for him to end up burying the Epstein files and bringing America into another war. Let me share this with you guys.
And I'm watching it sink by its own doing. And so this is horrifying. And so, but I can't sign on to covering up Epstein. I can't sign on to World War III. And so that's why I tried to promote the optimism, because I fucking need this, man. Like, I want to fix the country. I want to turn it around. So it's not that I was delusional. And I still hope we can turn it around, but I just, sorry, go ahead. You get what I'm saying?
I get it. And listen, like I said, I don't think that everybody that supported Trump was being dismissive about these concerns. I get it. You know, we all wanted to believe. I was 18 years old when Trump ran in 2016. And I remember getting in fights with people. This is my whole life too. At 18 years old, I wore the MAGA hat at Boston University, one of the most liberal campuses in the country, and became a pariah on my college campus.
Something you sacrificed. It's sad to see something you fought, bled for, die.
Yeah, and that's my whole adult life. I know that's a huge part of your life also, and now we're witnessing it's totally unraveling. It's an utter and complete betrayal. It's heartbreaking in many ways.
And when I try to salvage it with people, I get attacked as a liberal, which is when these people doing that can't even find Iran on a fucking map.
Yeah, well, what's called for is for us to be sober-minded about the entire thing, because there's a lot of Trump haters.
I've been a realist the whole time, but was hoping, and now I'm just not even hoping. I'm just going to be a realist.
Yeah, I mean, and really, it's okay to have hope. I mean, we hope for a better future, but we got to be brutally honest about what this administration has become.
Have faith in the great Alex Jones. Have faith. The switch flipped for him today. And I hope everyone in his life puts the foot on the gas. He's receptive. He's pissed off. And he realizes we cannot go on any further. We cannot support a regime that enables pedophilia and covers up massive sex trafficking blackmail rings. We can't. We can't support an administration that is an accessory after the fact in a globalist satanic death cult. Like, that is not America first. That's not Christian. We cannot support that. And we cannot support forever wars. Especially not a war in Iran. Like, this is the most obvious way to get us into a decades-long conflict that could evolve into a nuclear holocaust. So, Alex Jones is awake. And if Trump doesn't succeed and the Democrats get in, he goes to prison. Like, his life is over. But let's be real, man. Susie Wiles and the rest of Trump's MAGA deep state are doing opposition research against all of the patriots, against Nick Fuentes, and against Alex Jones, against General Flynn. All of the real patriots that can't be controlled, can't be bought and paid for, they're going to be arrested before Trump gets out of office. So the time to act is now. The time to get engaged is now. The time to start voting are these midterms. And it doesn't have to be a Democrat. You're totally right, Chet. We shouldn't just submit to the Democrats. So let me play this quick clip from the same conversation where Nick mentions voting for Democrats, and then I want to hear your response, Chet.
Bottom line is that I've confirmed that Israel is basically in control of our foreign policy by our own posture to be allied with them, and that is uncontrovertible. Because now they're trying to damage control. Oh no, Trump gave the order. No. Our very doctrine is if Israel's attacked, we attack. And so thank God Russia's not following its agreement with Iran or China, or we'd be in war with them right now. So it is a fact. And then the neocons, the Israel lobbies all over the internet attacking anybody that points this out and tries to say it's not the case. Well, Netanyahu brags about it. So, I mean, that's the big news. I'm not even defending Trump. It actually makes him worse. That it is now literally true. What I wanted to claim wasn't true because I don't want to believe it. That Trump is an errand boy of Israel. And how do we deal with that, Nick Fuentes?
Well, if Trump is an errand boy for Israel, then you got to shut down his government. And that means you got to go into the midterms and you got to get the Democrats in. And the Democrats hopefully will impede the administration. That's what they're going to do. They're going to launch investigations, subpoenas, select committee, all that kind of stuff. And they're going to grind it to a halt. And, if Trump is an operative of a foreign government, consider that he's forfeited his entire mandate because his whole basis of support is that he's America first, MAGA. He's not like the other politicians. Okay, well, if you're an errand boy for Israel, if you're a puppet of the Jewish state and you're bringing us to war for them, that's not like a small thing. That's not like a little bit of foreign aid. We're going to war on their behalf. He has to be opposed. And a lot of people don't want to take it there for one reason or another. But, I don't know what the option is. I don't know how you work with that. If you're America first and Trump is Israel first, well, that's not exactly a divide that can be bridged.
Chad, I'd love to hear your response.
So I said earlier that I don't agree with what he said. I still don't agree that we need to put Democrats in the midterm elections. I do think that it's a good threat. I think that's a good threat to make to Trump. And everybody watches Nick Fuentes. Alex Jones's following is exploding right now. Nick Fuentes is still going up even after being throttled by shadow bans. Everybody knows what he says. And so there's a huge cohort of people who are under the guide of Nick and Alex right now. And Trump knows that. Trump knows that. So whenever Nick says something like that, then in a way, I think that he's bluffing Trump or at least somebody on his team to take the stance opposite of the aisle on this, at least. He's inspiring somebody to step out of line and become the person that we want in for the next 4 years. So I think it's a good chess move on Nick's part. I would really hate to have to vote Democrats in to stop what Trump's doing. So I just need a little bit more time to consider what I think about that.
Certainly. I mean, Nick's right. Like 2028 is so important. We have to win. Like we have to get a populist patriot in there. We have to get a Pat Buchanan, Ron Paul type populist in. Not a Democrat, not a neocon, a conservative populist. That's what we need. Someone that will restore our nation's founding principles. Someone that will shatter the system into 1,000 pieces and rebuild it on our founding principles. Rebuild it on 1776 worldwide. We need that. But why just vote for Democrats if they're ultimately going to oppose us? Nick's argument is they will block all the horseshit that Trump is throwing at us. And he totally has a point. But wouldn't an America First candidate do the same? Wouldn't Aaron Baker do the same in Florida's 6th district? Wouldn't Mike Wilnaugh do the same in Florida's 11th district? Wouldn't Mark Nugent do the same in Texas's 3rd district? Won't James Fishback do the same as Florida's next governor, and Casey Putsch as Ohio's next governor, and Doc Pete Chambers as Texas's next governor? We can't just wait till 2028. We can't just give in to the uniparty. We have to find grassroots populist candidates that can progress us forward. Progress the movement forward now, because we don't have 3 years to just sit around with our cocks in our hands playing patty cakes. That's not the reality. So, Nick, you're right. 2028, we have to win. When I say we, I mean we the people. I don't mean red or blue. We the people have to win 2028. And in 2026, in these midterms that already started, today's voting day in Texas for the GOP primary, we need to vote on the issues. We need to look at every single candidate and say, did you support the Iran war? And did you support covering up the Epstein files? Did you aid and abet the DOJ's massive cover-up of a globalist satanic death cult? And if you did those two things, either or, you're out. And we'll let whoever else is running against you win. But the problem is we have people on both sides of the aisle and across all spectrum of the right that are violating both of those sacred covenants. So we need more America First patriots to step up. And for the few that did in 2026, we need to get to the fucking ballot box and support them and amplify them on social media and donate to their campaign and volunteer. Would you agree with that, Chad?
Yeah, actually, I think that's the only solution. Because while all the Nimrods out there know that I use the block button and the mute button very liberally on the X platform, especially with my personal account, I don't think I see a lot of Democrats speaking out against this. I haven't seen a big backlash. I haven't seen them saying that they wouldn't have done this. Because, like we know, the Democrats are also all Zionists. All of them. There's maybe 3 that aren't. Maybe 3. So it's a both sides of the aisle problem. We're not going to win by putting in Democrats. Even if they say they're going to stop Trump, they're still going to bend the knee to this agenda, this foreign policy agenda, because that's their prerogative. that's what they get paid to do. So I think the only way out of this is to go and support your America First patriots that are grassroots campaigns coming up, young people just like us and all you Nimrods out there that are going to fight for the wishes of the people of America and not be beholden to foreign influences. So I think that's the only way out of this, Lou.
Why isn't Fuentes taking this approach? Why is he immediately submitting to the Democrats with having us vote for him, vote for them on the midterms? I don't understand why he's not doing what you and Chet have been preaching with trying to push a strong candidate forward independently.
Well, here's the thing, man. He's been fighting this battle longer than us. He's being vindicated now, but he's been shouting this from the rooftops for a long time. Like in 2024, he was holding rallies across the country in states like Michigan, trying to convince people not to vote, perhaps to vote Democrat or not to vote at all. He was trying to sound the alarm because at the time he was a fringe pundit. And as a fringe pundit, he believed that he could move the ball a little bit so that people would look away from Trump and maybe find someone else that could be our anti-establishment candidate to get in there and actually stand for America First values. And that's not what we got. So why is Nick doing this now? Well, it's because he's been trying to warn us forever and nobody listened, and he was right all along. I still don't think you just go vote for Democrat. I think that's a sloppy way to do it. I think the way you do it is you go for anti-establishment candidates. You look at every candidate and you say, are you grassroots? Like, are you taking money from lobbies, from PACs or mega donors? If so, we're not electing you. Are you pro harming children? Are you protecting pedophiles? We're not fucking electing you. And are you putting the interests of foreign nations over your own constituents? It's very simple. If you can't achieve those things, we're not voting you in. I don't care if you're R or D, red or blue, or somewhere in the middle. You have to uphold to the basic Christian principles that built this country. And if you can't do that, go fuck yourself.
You're out. You're out. I think, I believe in all of our America First candidates that we have had on the show and that we haven't yet. I think that these guys are the real self-starters and they're going to save a lot of this country or what we can. I just think that the Democrat thing is a more credible threat to Republicans in Congress, especially, and Trump and his administration. I think that is, assuming that Nick is doing that as a threat, because why would we want gay race communism to take over this country? I think that the most credible threat to Trump and the Republicans in Congress is telling people to vote for Democrats in the midterms because they're already concerned about it. I think that's his motivation.
Totally. So what's our call to action, Nimrod audience? Well, if you live in Texas, get out and vote in the GOP primary today. There aren't a lot of candidates we trust, but there are a few that we need to win. We endorse Doc Pete Chambers for governor. We endorse Ken Paxton, the current Attorney General of Texas, to be the next U.S. Senator from Texas. We endorse Aaron Reitz as the next Texas Attorney General to backfill Ken Paxton, who also has Ken Paxton's endorsement. We endorse Mark Nugent for Texas's 3rd District, who is running against Keith Self, who is Randy Fine's best friend. So since Keith and Randy are best friends, Mark is now a best friend of the show, Aaron Baker, and we support both of them wholeheartedly, and also support Pat Bondar. I believe it's Pat. He was on InfoWars. Paul Bondar. He is running for Texas's 32nd congressional district. He is fully backed by the Oath Keepers, so we know he's good. He's putting American interests first. He is fully self-funded. Go vote for Mark Nugent if you live in the 3rd District. Vote for Paul Bondar if you live in the 32nd District. If you live in Texas, we need Doc Pete Chambers, we need Ken Paxton, and Aaron Reitz. We're not going to give anyone else a full-throated endorsement, and it's as simple as that. We need to get rid of Greg Abbott. We need to unseat the entrenched incumbents. And honestly, there are tons of terrible people that are running all across the state of Texas, but it doesn't mean that I like their challengers any better. Steve Toth, Israel Schill, Is he way better than fucking Dan Crenshaw? Yeah, but I'm not going to endorse Steve Toth. I'm going to let them duke it out, and hopefully the Trump endorsement helps him win. We'll see. We need real grassroots patriots who put Texas first. Ken Paxton really disappointed me by coming out in support of President Trump's decision to launch the Iran war. But other than that, like, he has been so instrumental in dismantling the Soros deep state in Texas. There's still so much work to be done. And I think Aaron is a little more radical. And he is the prodigy. Like, he's the guy that's been watching Ken work. And I think he's going to take this movement in Texas to the next level. So that's why he has our endorsement. So if you live in the state of Texas, those are our endorsements. The only one that I can stand behind wholeheartedly is Doc Pete Chambers. I love the other guys. I think it's important to get them in. Who else is on the ballot? Let's take a look at a couple other guys. Doc Pete Chambers posted an example ballot from one of his supporters. Doesn't mean he endorses these people. But if we look at this image, we talked about U.S. Senator. Here's where it gets interesting. If we look at Texas Comptroller, Don Huffines. Now, this guy's backed by about every typical America First patriot you can imagine, including Ron Paul. Ron Paul posted a very nice, heartwarming video today in support because of Don Huffines' opposition to the Fed and his Doge mentality. He wants to eliminate the waste and the fraud. He wants to run Texas like a business. And if you're a comptroller, then that's what you look for. And will he be good for the state of Texas? Probably. Should we endorse him? Probably, but I'm not going to because he is a current owner of Zorro Ranch. And he's done a lot of damage control, and he said he bought it for the sole purpose of bringing in the state to launch an investigation. But there's a lot of shady business going on. And I'm not going to endorse someone who's involved with the Epstein drama. The other interesting race is the Commissioner of Agriculture. We have Nate Sheets running against Sid Miller. Sid Miller is the incumbent. He is the MAGA guy, and Nate Sheets is the Abbott guy. We hate Greg Abbott, so it makes you want to pick Sid Miller. But the problem with Sid Miller, they had a debate this week, and Sid's final remark was, I have the full support of Israel. And he mic dropped and walked away. So fuck you. Now, listen, he's the head of agriculture, so is Israel going to get involved? I hope not, but maybe. Fucking China destroyed the Florida citrus industry. Fucking China sent the damn coronavirus over here. This is biological chemical warfare that would come via agriculture. So do I trust Sid Miller? No. Is he better than Nate Sheets? Maybe. So Nate Sheets, he has the Greg Abbott endorsement. He's also the owner of Nature Nate's honey. If you're a healthy guy and you love raw unfiltered honey, you're a big fan of Nature Nate's. I had no idea Nate Sheets owned Nature Nate's, and I'm a huge fan. But then Sid Miller posted this video. I just want to show you guys, because if you're a consumer like I am, you deserve to see this. This could totally be Sid Miller propaganda, but I'll let you guys make up your own decision.
Nature Nate's honey. Nature Nate's is one of the most recognizable honey brands in America, boldly labeled as 100% pure, raw, and unfiltered honey. But independent lab tests suggest it might not be nearly as raw as it claims. Lab results revealed HMF levels as high as 232 milligrams per kilogram, far above the safe limit. HMF, short for hydroxymethylfurfural, forms when honey is overheated or poorly stored, and in high amounts, it's a sign of serious degradation. High heat makes bottling easier and faster, but it also kills enzymes, vitamins, and beneficial compounds, turning real honey into a glorified sweetener. Experts warn that excessive HMF can even be harmful if consumed regularly. The watchdog site Small Batch Goodness even suggested Nature Nate's may be diluted with corn syrup. And blogger Ajay Chauhan published a viral expose calling out the brand for being heated, degraded, and far from raw. While some taste tests still praise Nature Nate's for its pleasant flavor, consumers should know that sweet doesn't always mean natural, and most of this honey's nutrients are long gone due to processing.
I would really wonder how they're able to get away with that labeling on their package, but I guess it would be because RFK Jr. still has a lot of work to do, and he's not moving fast enough. Not sure if that's real or not, but sure pisses me off. I guzzle that shit like it's fucking water, so I might be fucked.
That's bullshit. I can't even believe it. But I actually can believe it because it's so stocked at every grocery store. They got such good deals. There's got to be corruption behind it. So on the hunt for a new honey brand for sure. Thanks, Nature Nate, dick.
Fuck Nature Nate. For that reason, I did not vote for either of those scumbags. Here's the deal. We might have multiple options in most of these races, but that doesn't mean either one's good. So we can present you with all the information. You can make your best decision, but we're only going to get behind the guys we know we can trust. And it really just starts and ends with Doc Pete Chambers. I know this episode will come out after Election Day, but there's going to be a runoff at the end of March. So we're going to have to vote again, right? So please make sure you are supporting Doc Pete Chambers. He is America First Patriot. He is grassroots. His money comes from the people. It does not come from mega donors or lobbies or PAC money. Like, this is real grassroots populism. We must support him to save Texas from the Jewish Islamic coalition that Greg Abbott has allowed to consume our once great state. Bring back the same principles from the Alamo from 1836. Nimrods, any final thoughts? Any other topics? Any other reports we need to analyze before I sign us out?
Nothing changes if nothing changes. So if you're not spending your own time to look at these candidates, whether it doesn't matter what state you live in, nothing changes if nothing changes. Your vote matters. You can make a difference, turn the ship around, because right now, where we're going isn't anywhere good.
Amen, Joey. We said this after COVID. We said, it was terrible. We injected poison into the majority of Americans, especially white Christian males in the workforce. But it did something very special. It woke the populace up. And that's the exact same thing that's happening with every blunder that is committed by the Trump administration. He fucked up. And so did Joe Biden. They fucked up by allowing Elon Musk to buy X and open the information airwaves. Because now we're able to consume all the information and make our own decisions. There's still more propaganda than ever, but we have access to it all. And it's up to us to take action and sift through the misinformation. So I don't know how this is going to end. But if you want to fight, you better believe you've got one. The only answer to 1984 is 1776. The only answer to 666 is Christ the King. All you Nimrods out there, share this transmission to start the chain reaction. God bless you all. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.